Labour's controversial inheritance tax raid is threatening to unravel the very fabric of Britain's farming traditions. At the heart of this brewing storm is farmer Clive Bailey, a man whose life's work, passion and legacy are now teetering on the edge of destruction. Speaking to Nana Akua on GB News, Clive painted a devastating picture of what Labour's policies could mean for him, his young son Henry, and countless other farming families across the country.
Now, thank you so much for joining me. Really appreciate your time. I want to ask you, first of all, with this inheritance tax plan, will it affect you? So Keir Starmer and his party seem to think it won't affect many farmers. Will it affect your farm?
Hi, Nat. Thanks for asking us on. Yeah, of course it affects us. It affects thousands. I think the numbers that have been put out there by the NFU and other independent sources are around 75,000 farmers, not the 500 number that they keep defaulting back to, which frankly is becoming quite insulting now. It's been proven that's based on the wrong data. So it affects us personally dramatically, yeah. It means that the inheritance tax bill, when my father passes away, will mean that to pay that, we'll have to probably sell the farm, or certainly a proportion of it, which is not something I want to do. And that takes away the opportunity for future generations like Henry here to continue farming like my father did and my grandfather before him.
So how big is your farm? What if you were to value it now, what would you say it was worth?
So we farm about 1,000 acres of cereals, combinable crops, of our own land. Some's owned by us. We have loans on some of it as well, as because we've bought more land as time goes on. We also contract farm and rent land that we farm for other people. So overall, kind of an area you need to be farming cereals. We don't have livestock, so we farm oilseed rape, wheat, barley, beans, those kind of crops. So cereals, all things that go through combine harvesters. And unless you're farming, kind of at least 500-600 acres, the scale wouldn't add up to provide a return on investment. So in our own case, there would be probably £10 million worth of capital assets invested in doing that, but that will return a 0.5% return on investment, which means that, effectively we've got £50,000 profit a year after tax. That's 35 or so, and there's 2 generations living off that. So although the asset value is big, it's only money the day we sell it. While we're farming it, we're just living off the returns from that, which aren't excessive, aren't high, and quite frankly would be better off in just about invested anywhere else. So
the clip left viewers across the nation reeling, and for good reason. Clive's story isn't just about financial hardship. It's about the slow erosion of a way of life that has defined Britain's rural identity for centuries. For Clive, farming isn't just a job, it's a calling, one that has been passed down through generations of his family. "It's always been my dream to inherit this farm," Henry said during the interview. "Helping my dad around the farm is one of my favourite things. I can't imagine doing anything else." But the harsh reality of Labour's inheritance tax changes means Henry's dream may remain just that, a dream. Clive explained that when the time comes to pay the inheritance tax on the farm, the family will have no choice but to sell either large portions of the land or the entire farm. That takes away the opportunity for future generations like Henry to continue farming, like my father and grandfather before me, Clive said. The impact of these policies extends far beyond the Bailey family. Rural communities across the UK are sounding the alarm, with farmers warning that the tax raid will destroy family farms and pave the way for corporate takeovers. For families like the Baileys, their assets aren't measured in cash. They're tied up in the land, the livestock, and the infrastructure that sustains their way of life. "This isn't about pound notes," Clive said with palpable frustration. "We don't do this for the money. It's a lifestyle, a vocation, and now they're making it impossible for us to carry on." Labour has defended the tax changes, emphasising their commitment to fairness and claiming that the reforms are necessary to balance the country's finances. But this rhetoric rings hollow for the farming community, especially when paired with findings from a recent survey by Public First. The survey revealed that only 1 in 5 voters believe Labour cares about people living and working in the countryside, a damning statistic that highlights just how out of touch the party is with rural voters. James Frayne of Public First didn't mince words. Labour's ratings are poor across the board, but with rural voters, they're catastrophic. The party's perceived indifference to rural concerns is driving a wedge between them and the communities they claim to support, leaving many farmers feeling abandoned and betrayed. Clive's interview also highlighted the broader challenges facing farmers in the UK. Over the years, relentless price pressure from supermarkets has eroded their profit margins to the point where many are barely breaking even. "It's been a race to the bottom," Clive said. "Cheap food on people's plates has come at the cost of farmers' livelihoods. And now, with this tax raid, there's nothing left to give." For Clive's father, a man who has spent his entire life on the farm, the situation is almost too much to bear. Clive recalled recent conversations with his father, who at 78 years old is grappling with the harsh reality of their predicament. "I've never seen him so upset," Clive revealed. "We've sat down with our accountants, trying to figure out how to manage the tax bills, and it's just heartbreaking." The emotional toll of the situation is clear. For Clive, his father, and his son, Henry, farming isn't just a business, it's a legacy, a way of life that has sustained their family for generations. But now, with Labour's inheritance tax policies looming over them, that legacy is at risk of being wiped out entirely. The interview with Clive and Henry has sparked widespread outrage, with viewers taking to social media to express their support for Britain's farmers. Many are calling on Labour to reconsider the inheritance tax changes, arguing that they are not only unfair, but also short-sighted. Critics point out that family farms are the backbone of the UK's agricultural industry and play a vital role in producing food, maintaining biodiversity, and preserving the countryside. But Labour isn't the only party facing scrutiny. Over in the Conservative camp, a separate scandal is brewing. Reform MP Lee Anderson has launched a blistering attack on Tory leader Kemi Badenoch, accusing her of political immaturity and warning her against engaging in a public feud with Nigel Farage and Reform UK. Anderson, a former deputy chairman of the Conservative Party, didn't hold back in his criticism. "Stop picking fights with Nigel," he said. "You're never going to beat him. He's been at this for decades. He has politicians like you for breakfast." The feud between Badenoch and Farage began when the Tory leader reportedly confronted GB News over Farage's airtime, claiming the channel was a haven for her critics. The dispute has since escalated, with Badenoch taking aim at Reform UK's membership numbers, accusing the party of inflating their figures. Farage, in turn, has demanded an apology, warning that he may take further action if Badenoch refuses to back down. The clash has dominated headlines, overshadowing other political stories and drawing attention to Reform UK's growing influence. For many observers, the feud is a sign of deeper cracks within the Conservative Party. Anderson himself admitted that he's seen a significant movement of members from the Tories to Reform UK, a trend that Badenoch would do well to address. "When I was deputy chairman, I spoke to hundreds of associations," Anderson said. "The vast majority of Conservative members liked what Nigel Farage had to say. Now I'm seeing those same faces at Reform events." As these twin scandals unfold, one thing is clear. The political landscape in the UK is more volatile than ever. Labour's inheritance tax raid is alienating rural voters, while the Conservatives are grappling with internal divisions and the rise of Reform UK. For Clive Bailey and his son Henry, the stakes couldn't be higher. Their story is a poignant reminder of what's at risk, not just for farming families, but for the country as a whole. If you want to stay updated on these explosive stories and more, hit that subscribe button, give us a like, and stay tuned. Britain's political drama is just getting started, and we'll bring you every twist and turn as it